CBS 21 News Project Education. Back to school.
Educators are eager to get the students back to the classroom. Parents are depending on it. But how will these schools handle COVID-19 cases that arise? Could it be a repeat of last year? CBS 21's Samantha York has this story.
School officials tell me it is a fluid situation with this COVID-19 Delta variant, and there's still a chance that they could be moving to a remote environment if COVID-19 cases get out of hand. They say they are learning from best practices last year.
The best traditions of our national life.
Some students are returning to classrooms 5 days a week for the first time in 17 months.
They're glad to be coming back to school in person, even if they are wearing masks and trying to stay socially as distant as possible, but at least they're together.
Others are being reintroduced to a school they haven't seen in person since the pandemic began.
We want as much consistency as possible, but what level of consistency we get will depend on public health.
It's really important to protect themselves because they're not eligible for the vaccine. And we don't want to spread and have all these hot spots.
The big question on the minds of parents, educators, and students is how close to normal will this school year look? And that question is dependent upon another. How will schools handle COVID-19 cases?
The virus is going to dictate to us what happens.
As the Delta variant makes its presence known across counties throughout central PA, schools are finalizing their health and safety plans.
We want to make sure that our schools are ready and do have a plan in place so that if cases do increase substantially in their communities, that they're ready to be able to move to maybe a more stringent plan.
School districts are looking at their preventative measure options like masking. Yeah, that in addition to social distancing and encouraging eligible students to get vaccinated when they can.
When schools get a number of cases in the district, they'll be contacting the Department of Health and doing the contact tracing and deciding whether or not kids have to be quarantined or classrooms have to be quarantined.
For those at Greenwood School District, not much is changing. The district was able to keep all students in person in school for the majority of last year. While masks were implemented at the time, masks will now be optional this year when the school year begins on August 25th.
Different quarantine lengths based upon close contact exposure. The new variables will be vaccination and not vaccination, close contact when you are vaccinated.
It's a different story for Derry Township School District, which remained in a hybrid learning model for most of last year.
There are no plans for hybrid education. There are no plans for school closing.
Once its students return on August 30th, masks will be required inside. But even as these two districts are on opposite ends of the region and have used different approaches to their plans, both continue to follow guidance from the Department of Health and the Department of Education. Contact tracing is the common ground line of defense. Students are asked to stay home if they're sick or quarantine if they've been exposed.
We may have more episodes of shutting schools down for a few days and doing some deep cleaning, then bringing everyone back in.
It's Derry Township's hope that masking will protect students from the exposure that warrants quarantining in an effort to keep students in the classroom as much as possible. It's coming on the heels of parents saying that's what students missed out on the most this past year. Reporting for CBS 21 News, I'm Samantha York.